An esoteric term has become the obsession of nearly every major gaming publisher in the world: the Metaverse. You've heard of it? I've heard of it. It's totally inescapable. People are saying the Metaverse is the next big thing, even if nobody seems to know what it is. A VR template like the Star Trek holodeck? A cryptocurrency scheme? A souped-up version of Habbo Hotel?
A hardware and software platform completely ensconced in the loving arms of Meta.
Advocates of the Metaverse claim that they want to make video games more social, more malleable, and more immersive. To them, the Metaverse is a place where we can meld our digital and physical selves, where we can be reincarnated within the source code, where we can live our best lives with the help of a controller or a keyboard. Sound familiar? Yes, it's no surprise that video games are serving as the testing grounds for the so-called Metaverse. Because if you've spent many sleepless nights organising raid groups in World of Warcraft, then you might feel like the Metaverse has existed for decades. In fact, the first time long-time tech journalist Will Smith started considering the idea, it was the late 90s.
I played Quake and I watched, the folks at Carmack at id talking about, building, letting you put portals in your Quake server to your friend's Quake server, so you can connect from one Quake server to the next Quake server, and like everybody has their own little world, but they're also all connected. You can go between them. It's like, man, that sounds awesome. They should totally. And then, of course, 20 years happened and nothing ever happened with it.
Gamers have been fully aware of the transformative power of digital spaces, but technology companies are now racing to catch up. Recently, we've been able to attend Marshmallow concerts in Fortnite, or participate in an all-encompassing barter economy in Roblox, or break bread with strangers in VR chat. The Metaverse wants to create a suite of video games that are more social and more decentralized, places to hang out in rather than arenas to conquer. And after a few years of isolation, that's just what the doctor ordered.
I've been playing PUBG every night for the last 5 years with the same group of friends. But during the pandemic, that time became less of a time to go out and murder people on an island, and more of a social, hey, I'm going to go hang out with my buddies because I can't do this in real life right now, right? And like, just because those experiences were virtual didn't make them any less meaningful to me and important to me during those times. It's like when you go to a bar and there's a Texas shuffleboard table or a pool table in the back, you're like, oh man, hell yeah, I'm gonna go play some pool and drink some beers with my friends, and this is gonna be a good time. I'm not out to like beat my friends at pool. It's nice if I win, it's nice if I lose, but it's like a pleasant way to pass some time and engage your brain a little bit while you're having this social moment.
Philip Rosedale, creator of one of the most successful metaverses ever orchestrated, Second Life, has been facilitating his own metaverse since 2003.
In 2006, for a period of like half the year or something, there were we had those clipping services that tell us who's writing stuff. There were 500 articles a day written about Second Life worldwide, of which like half were in print, and it was just weird. I mean, it was just a brief time, but it was like the level of intensity around people wanting to wonder about whether we were all going to live in virtual worlds was so high that I guess I kind of saw it before, like during that strange time. And so when it comes back now, I'm like, oh, this again. It's fascinating.
Yet gamers are still suspicious of the metaverse, or at least the way in which it's currently being discussed by the big companies. Every major publisher's announcement of some sort of Web3 initiative, be it a metaverse or a decentralized currency, has been met with nearly unanimous backlash from the community. After years of microtransactions and season passes, gamers are suspicious of any new financialization scheme in their favorite hobby, especially when it only seems to make those at the top rich. Gene Park, who covers video games for The Washington Post, shares those concerns.
I always do worry about how continued relationships and exposure to companies and corporations and their own business practices exposes audiences to more likelihood of being milked in terms of as consumers. So that's always going to be worrying, especially considering how much of the internet revolves around commerce as well.
Many gamers are aligned in thinking that a financial system organized by some of the most powerful technology companies in the world is ripe for exploitation. Will we be crafting our own dreams in the metaverse? Or will we find ourselves mired in a world that has the exact same real-world problems born from greed and profiteering? After all, it's not like companies like Meta have a great track record.
I think Mark Zuckerberg has a little bit different idea of what he thinks the metaverse is, which basically is centered around like a hardware and software platform completely ensconced in the loving arms of Meta, where all money that goes into or out of that platform, he takes his percentage off of. And I'm not super interested in that version of the metaverse.
Some metaverse adherents believe that one of the ways publishers can level the playing field is the ability for players to bring items from one game into another one, thus creating one shared, overarching metaverse instead of a number of different pocket dimensions owned and operated by different publishers. Ostensibly, that could cut down on the monopolization potential. But is this even possible?
Right now, what we've got is a bunch of video games that have absolutely no interest, or in fact, negative interest, in sharing resources between those games. I always say, imagine driving a Ferrari from GTA 5 into Among Us. It doesn't make any more sense. It doesn't make sense to the players. It doesn't make sense to the people that made those two games.
Chat programs used to have an open code where you can have independent apps that would be able to have your MSN Messenger, your Yahoo Messenger, your AOL Messenger, your ICQ, all those friends lists all in one chat app. And eventually all of those different companies didn't want to play well with each other anymore, so they started closing off their code. And next thing you know, just suddenly all of a sudden those apps started disappearing because they just didn't work anymore. Even Instagram won't populate automatically on Twitter, and that happened very early on. You start to get a little bit more skeptical when you start to think about the reality of how some of these companies have operated in the past and how they continue to operate.
All of this reveals the real tension at the heart of video games' metaverse question. Anyone in the hobby relishes the idea of flourishing in a limitless social space, full of games, friends, and creativity. But do we trust the companies developing those platforms to deliver on that promise, without a distressing financial current running through its core? It's hard to say for sure if we're headed in the right direction.
The closest thing, honestly, we have at this point is probably VR chat, where things are just buck wild. Like you can, if you want to be Spider-Man, you download a Spider-Man model, a rigged Spider-Man model from some third-party site someplace, upload it into the servers, and then everybody sees Spider-Man when you load in. And if you want to get down to like the core original idea that Neil Stephenson pitched, which is here's a place you can hang out with your friends and do weird stuff, VR chat's probably where we're at right now. Not much money there, I don't think. I don't know.
Philip Rosedale isn't even sure if grown-ups truly want to participate in a fully fledged metaverse, at least in the same way kids and preteens do.
There's an abundance of evidence that 7 to 14-year-olds are interested in hanging out with each other while playing in places like Roblox, Minecraft, and Fortnite. But find me a 16-year-old that is socializing with their friends in the metaverse, because I'll tell you right now, there aren't any. The transition to social in gaming will drive the emergence of this metaverse idea, but we have not yet solved the problems associated with making that actually good enough to attract a significant audience of people that are older than 14.
That said, Rosedale is optimistic that someday all of us Earthlings will inhabit some sort of fully functional metaverse, as soon as technology catches up to match the nuances of human emotion.
My personal take is in the next 5 years, we'll see problems solved that'll address this socialization and grown-ups wanting to be together. One will be avatars will get sufficiently expressive that we will be willing to represent ourselves, at least in a number of different cases, as avatars. I do think we'll get there.
Will Smith imagines a metaverse of true interoperability, where we could really bounce between the virtual environments built by both insulated companies and gigantic corporations seamlessly. Smith knows it's a long shot, but his vision is exciting.
The dream is that it ends up being like a actual community, and like if I want to go from my OpenXR, open server-based thing that I can run, then I should be able to click the button in there, go through the portal, whatever the metaphor is, and go hop into Fortnite. Or I mean, if I want to go into Facebook's thing, I can go into Facebook's thing. Or if I want to go into Microsoft's thing, I can go into Microsoft's thing. And it'll be like going to a strip mall where there's a bunch of little tiny businesses that, there's like the mom and pop bagel store, and then there's a Target next door.
Nobody knows what the future holds for immersive technology, because again, nobody has definitively established what the metaverse is. For now though, we're in a period of trial and error, of harebrained schemes and good ideas, of cynicism and utopia. All we know for sure is that gaming continues to intersect with so many aspects of our day-to-day lives, and that isn't going to slow down anytime soon. So maybe it's worth it to sit back, relax, and see where this ride takes us.